welcome to our show. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all the likes on our Pittsburgh Sports Line Facebook. Big Mike's going to join Facebook this week. We'll get another like. We just hit 146, fellas.
Woohoo!
One day.
Leaps and bounds.
That's a new high there. And thanks for watching us all over the area, Public Access TV, especially on Verizon outside of Bethel Park, or just for you guys in Bethel, Verizon 32 and Comcast 7. And we have another great show. We've got a great lineup. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip Hayner here, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Big Mike Butera. And we start out strong with what's on our mind. Mike, what's on your mind?
Good one tonight, maybe. Pittsburgh's on my mind, and why not? We live here, and I've been fortunate enough to live here all my life, probably as these fellows to my right have been. And I happen to know full well, because of my travels in my previous business, that Pittsburgh's an awesome town. I've had opportunities to leave here, maybe not to make more money. I've had opportunities to just relocate elsewhere, and I've found a lot of nice cities, but what's kept me here is my family, my friends, and the city of Pittsburgh. And where I'm going with this, everybody's wondering, especially him down there. He's got those, he's going like this. First
Here, I'll
off,
show you, Mike.
see? James Harrison, right? James Harrison, the Steeler?
No more.
Well, that's where I'm going with this.
Oh,
Now, there's a lot of athletes that come to Pittsburgh from faraway lands, and they stay. Mario Lemieux, for one. Pierre LaRouche, only played a part of his hockey career here, has relocated here. Steelers, Jack Lambert, he's in the wilderness somewhere. Frank O'Harris has stayed here. These guys come from all over.
Excuse
but
me,
they,
did you say O'Harris?
That's the Irish version.
Well, what's that? Bagora. So that's this weekend. James Harrison, if I read the papers correctly and listened to the sports shows correctly, he wanted to stay here. The Steelers and the coaching staff and the ownership wanted him to stay here, yet he's not here. And what I heard today was that he was offered this. Okay, his contract's over, right? He made a big buck. He's 35 years old. He will hook on with somebody else, but everybody wanted to stay, including him. And what I heard today, and I'm sure we'll discuss it in a moment or two, but I heard today that he was offered a salary of 70% of his previous salary plus another 30% in incentives, which means he would have got pretty much all of it, if not at least 70% of it. He wanted to stay here, but he's not here. I don't understand that. Pittsburgh's an awesome place to play. We're a great sports town. That's why we even have a show like this. I feel bad for the guy.
Thanks, Big Mike. We're definitely going to revisit that issue that you brought up. I'm chomping at the bit right now.
And I'd like to as well. So.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yes.
But let's go with Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Want to send out a shout out to model India. She's in the building. In India, it will be working on her 2014 calendar soon. And believe me, her book will be released sometime in 2014. Just a little hint, she got 24 brothers and sisters, so you got to get that book.
Hey, Smoking Jim, I got an interview before you get a little louder. I may shout out to this Hank Walshak. He's the guy that could help her with the book.
Really?
And he lives in Bethel Park. So, Hank, if you're watching the show, this is the guy to contact, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Hammer and Hank, can't wait to meet you, buddy. Most people know that I'm an NFL scout, and for this year will be my 11th year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, helping them with their draft. So what I think I'm going to start doing every week is putting a spotlight on players that I'm going to advise the Pittsburgh Steelers to draft in the mid to late rounds. And the first player that I'm going to talk about this week is Terrell Sinkfield.
Wow.
Outstanding wide receiver from Northern Iowa University. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. He's a former high school running back, so he's exceptional after the catch. He's an acrobatic receiver with very good hands. He makes acrobatic catches like Lynn Swann. But what separates Terrell from everybody else is that he set an NFL record by running a 4.19 40-yard dash, which is faster than the previous record set by the kid from the Tennessee Titans that ran a Chris Johnson, thanks, Chip, that ran a 4.24 some in 2008. So that's going to be a guy that I'm going to recommend for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the mid to late rounds. He's a guy that can give you immediate production as a slot machine and as a kick returner or a bullet going down on special teams. So that's your Spotlight Player of the Week.
Wow, thanks, Smoking Jim. You keep adding these special editions here, buddy. I can't keep track. We love the insights. Keep them coming. And now we got Chip Hainer. What's on your mind?
Oh, thanks, Alan. And what's on my mind? 4 o'clock today, the beginning of free agency in professional football. And, if you listen to the regular blowhards on the talk radio around Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers are dead and buried and shouldn't even suit up for the 2013 season. Well, I got news for you. I've been a Steeler fan all my life, and if there's one thing the Steelers have done consistently in the last 20 years, is they seem to always field competitive teams that will ultimately vie for championships. They've got a formula that works, and I have absolute faith in the Rooneys, Kevin Colbert, Mike Tomlin, and his coaching staff. And you know what? I think everything's going to be all right with the Steelers. People are bellyaching because we let Mike Wallace go. Let me tell you something. Miami's going to find out what kind of a dud they just bought for $60 million, okay? Because Mike Wallace isn't even going to play out that contract, okay? The guy's got no heart, and Miami is going to get exactly what they paid for. It's another ticket to a less than mediocre season. I mean, it's unfortunate that James Harrison, has left the Steelers. And the one reality about professional football these days is that, guys become cap casualties, and that's just the nature of professional sports. You can't pay everybody, and as gentlemen, get in their mid to late 30s, their skills deteriorate to some degree. I wish James Harrison well. Loved him as a Steeler player. Loved him as a representative of the city of Pittsburgh. And the best of luck to him. It's unfortunate he had to go, but you know what? It's time for the young bucks to step up and make a name for themselves. And I have all the confidence in the world that the Steelers are going to be okay. Everybody's saying, oh my gosh, the Steelers, they don't have any linebackers. Well, I'm looking over at the Baltimore Ravens. Hey, weren't they the Super Bowl champs this year? They've lost 3 big-name players that helped them get to the World Championship. Ellerbe just signed with Miami. Kruger signed with Cleveland for $41 million. He's going to be another mistake on the lake. But he'll be a $41 million mistake on the lake. And
Chip, you're on a roll.
He got traded to the San Francisco 49ers. And you know what? The biggest person that was the biggest surprise to anybody was Anquan Bolden that he got traded to the 49ers. So I think all's going to be okay here in Pittsburgh. I think we're going to play in a competitive division. So that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. You covered a nice bit of information. We'll revisit some of those things. And as folks know that I want to put out another, this is the Western Pennsylvania Police Benevolent Foundation's 2nd annual event. And it's a night in blue, Saturday night, March 16th. I've been talking about it. Get out there at South Hills Country Club. Starts at 7:30. And be there. There's dancing and entertainment. Jimbo and the Soup Bones.
I recommend them.
And you got to head there. It's all for a good cause. Contact them on their website or get a hold of us here. Thanks again and enjoy that night. Then one of my favorite, the unicycle lady, Trina Hess. We are promoting it. Maybe we'll have her teacher and mentor who goes out in the forest on little runs on a unicycle. You should see the video on that. So for all you guys that want to go out in July and compete in the National Unicycle Tournament, it's out there in Butler. Now, what's on my mind? Wait a second. Jimmy Savetic, there's a boxing match Saturday night at the Royal Place Restaurant right on 88. It's only 5 minutes away from here, folks. Be out there. We'll go more into that later with our boxing and Sip Sports Bar. Check that out. And another thing, you got to go Saturday afternoon, same day, Carrick High School. We had their dance team, and they're champions. They won. First year they've been in the championship. They won it. Now they're hosting an event at their school. So make sure you go out there, Carrick High School. It's not far away, another 10 minutes away on Brownsville Road. Can't miss it. Okay, now we'll get to sports. Penguin hockey. You got a great game. Please don't change the channel yet. It's 7:30, maybe 7:35. Penguins and the Bruins. Now you got that big horse Charo, and Sid said, hey, he's a big guy, he's strong, but every once in a while I can beat him. All we care about is the W. We had a great game last time, and let's just score more goals than him. I don't care how long it lasts. That's what's on my mind. I can't wait to watch the Penguins tonight, too.
And, when you touch on that Penguin game, one of the interesting matchups in this game is that the Boston Bruins have the #1 penalty kill unit in the NHL. #1. Penguins' penalty kill unit's ranked number 22. They need some help. The Penguins have the highest scoring offense in the NHL. I'd like to see how they match up against one another. These are the two best
You'll
teams
see
in
it
the
a little
Eastern
later.
Conference. I'll be watching. I'll listen on the way home. I'll listen to a little bit of Mike Lang, and then I'll listen to Stoggy on the TV when I get home. But these are the two top teams in the Eastern Division. They could arguably end up being playing for the Eastern Finals, and a ticket to the Stanley Cup. So it'll be a good measuring stick to see where we are. Can't be anything but excited.
Right. And now we'll do our segment, Revisit What's on Our Mind. And I want to touch on Big Mike. What were you talking about down there?
I don't remember.
Okay.
The guy, James Harrison.
My point.
I appreciate what Chip said. Because I didn't know this, because I'm not the football guy. You mentioned he was a good ambassador for the city of Pittsburgh and a good all-around person. So that even befuddles me more.
And to speak to your point, and I heard this explained by James Harrison's agent. He did an interview yesterday morning, and here's what the deal was. James Harrison wanted to play in Pittsburgh. His agent wanted him to play in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wanted him to play in Pittsburgh. But here's what the deal was. He wanted to play out his contract, which means that he was signed for the next 2 years. Neither of these years were guaranteed. And, he did not want to stay and play for less here this year without the guarantee that he was not going to be cut next year. And that's where the sticking point was. And so subsequently they had to agree to disagree, and they went their separate ways because the Steelers agreed, yeah, we'll pay you for this year, but we're not going to guarantee you next year because you're going to be another year older. Who knows? He may end up with a career-ending injury this year, and then they're locked into taking the salary cap hit for next year as well. So it does kind of make sense, and it's an unfortunate business side of the game that it came down to.
And that happens a lot of times. They've let linebackers go that weren't done with their careers. Smoking Jim will tell you about some of the guys like Jason Gilden, a couple other guys that still played for other years.
Well, the Steelers, again, did not honor their contract. James Harrison was signed for the next couple of years, like Chip says. James Harrison and Brett Kiesel was probably the two most dependable guys on their defense. And just say James Harrison was making $10 an hour. If you believe the Steelers and they wanted him to take a 30% pay cut, which I heard was a little more than that, that means he had to go down to $7 an hour. And he didn't want to do that, and he shouldn't have had to do that. They shouldn't have had to make him take a pay cut. He was only scheduled to make $6.5 million this particular year. The Steelers have done a great job in the past with Bill Cowher letting linebackers and players go. Before, when they were starting on the other side of their career, but they always had guys that step up. Only probably two players that went somewhere else that did very well was one year was loudmouth that almost got in a fight. Who's the last linebacker?
Joey Porter.
Joey Porter almost beat up the Ravens tour bus.
Yeah, Joey Porter went to Miami and had 17 sacks one year. And, of course, Mike Vrabel was a mistake that they had let go. Mike Merriweather way back when was a mistake. Yeah. But the Steelers always done a good job. This particular case, though, I think it's, with the new regime, although, Chip, I know you got confidence in the new coaching staff and Kevin Colbert, I'm not as confident in them. I'm not a Jason Worilds fan. I don't think that He's a speed rusher off the end, so they really don't have anybody to take the place of James Harrison, the most feared man in the National Football League.
Smokey, let me ask you a question. You started off a segment ago saying this is your 11th year with the Steelers.
Yeah.
They don't watch this show then, do they?
You know what? They actually, I do a show at Pittsburgh, and they watch it all the time. But
they don't watch this one.
No, I have not heard them yet mention this particular show.
You know what? I'm going to send them to YouTube because I know they have computers.
There you go.
No problem. I'm trying to get a steak dinner and go in with you.
And Jim, one of the things you're talking about, and it's going to be hard to replace James Harrison, and that goes without saying. And yeah, I'm not a big. You and I were talking about this last night. I'm not a real big fan of Jason Worlds. Tomlin loves him. He still needs to show me something. They're going to be interviewing somebody that the Cowboys released, Dan Connor. He was a linebacker out of Penn State. Be a good guy to put in the middle for the Steelers. I think they're going to make a reasonable pickup in the linebacking core via free agency, but I think they're going to go heavy with linebackers this year in the draft, and I think that's really one of the most glaring needs. I'm sure they're going to be able to find an adequate enough running back in the mid to late rounds. And you think about all the draft picks that we've had the last 2 or 3 years, always very high draft picks on the offensive line, and through attrition now, most of the guys on the offensive line are either first or second round draft picks, and they got a new line coach, and you know what? I expect to see improvement there, and I think it could be the youth, but more importantly, the proper coaching, because Kugler, the gentleman that had been there every year that he was line coach, Ben was the most sacked quarterback in the league. So we'll see.
And they thought he did a good job though too.
Who's that?
Kugler.
Yeah. Well, the only problem I see with the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line is, one, I agree with you, Chip. They will improve because when you're the worst in the league, there's only one place to go.
Whoa.
And Mike Adams, do you see Mike Adams or Max Starks ever blocking a speed rusher or a good rusher like James Harrison or Dumerville or any of those guys? So those are going to be the problem, because now your team, your salary cap, Big Ben represents over 20% of the team's entire salary cap, and you can't continue to put him in harm's way. He's getting older now. He can take a beating and keep on. He can take a licking and keep on ticking. But the older you get, you see the injuries and accumulation of injuries are starting to pile up on Big Ben, and that's what's going to happen again this year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. As long as Ben is back there and healthy and playing quarterback, Steelers are in any game that they play. I think that he's one of those kind of special quarterbacks that, as long as he is behind the center, that you feel like somehow, some way he can pull it out.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that crazy silverback James Harrison went to the Baltimore Ravens. I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
I heard he's going to talk to Cleveland. Can you believe that?
Wow. Maybe he can slam that fan again.
I wonder if
Good
Massacles put him right next to his locker.
How about Chris?
He's going to say, "You remember me?" And he's going to go,
"Huh?" They won't remember him. Not at all. And now we're going to go to our next segment with Pittsburgh Sportsline at Sips Bar. We had a great night last night. I can't even keep track of all the guests. We had Kenny O. We had Jimmy Savetic. We had some big-time guests. We had our Zach Brenner and Mike Drakovich. He's been coming around Pittsburgh Sports Nation. They're going to be back next week. We had to cut them short with about 5 minutes each because Kenny O can out-talk me, folks.
Yes.
There's no doubt. He beat me. He got the crown. I'm not the talking machine when Kenny's on the show. He wins.
You may come in third with Jimmy Savetic.
Yeah, Jimmy turned it on strong there, and that's the one thing I wanted to bring up, that he's the Golden Glove king around here, and you must go to the Royal Place on 88 to see the boxers. He has a stable of boxers. I don't know how many boxers he said he's going to have there, and it's going to be a great show. Starts at 7 p.m. And then we had other great guests. These girls even did a promo for us for our show that just went up. You can watch it on YouTube, the Pittsburgh Sportsline at Sips Sports Bar. The Carrick dance team was just awesome there. And, shout out to all of them. Tristan's their leader. She was their spokesperson. She did a great job. And all the girls, it was great interviews. It was a pleasure having you there, and can't wait to hear you win on Saturday. So a lot of good stuff there, and we thank Sips Sports Bar for having us there. We're getting a nice crowd there, a lot of people, so come on out there. We're going to have John Galeza, the fantasy baseball sports guy. So Chip's already checking his list because he's a fantasy baseball guy. So they're going to go head-to-head, folks. You might want to see that. And for all of you guys that are in fantasy sports with baseball, it'd be a good show to come out and see us at the bar or check us out on YouTube there. And that's the Sips Sports Bar line there. Now we'll go to one of the favorite segments here, Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. What do you have for us, Jim?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Hey, I'm going back to 1998. 1998. I tell you what, I've seen a lot of great high school football players, but I've never seen anybody better than this kid. Back in 1998, this is a young man that reminded me of Jim Kelly as a quarterback. He even wore the same number. I went to the West Virginia State Football Championship and got a chance to see an awesome quarterback by the name of J.R. House. A lot of people here in Pittsburgh knows him because he foregoed his football career when he was drafted in baseball by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, this is a very unique kid. Not only was he a man amongst boys in high school, but in West Virginia, you're allowed to play high school football in the fall in West Virginia, and he played high school baseball for Sea Breeze in Florida. So he would go to Florida in the spring and play baseball at their high school and come back and still remain academically eligible for football in the fall at West Virginia. But they were playing Morgantown. I'm at the game. Not only did I think he was the defensive MVP of the game, at defensive end, Morgantown had a running back that was going to Notre Dame. He absolutely ran through him to sack the quarterback. Unbelievable. But on offense, in my recollection, now the stats, the national stats differ from me. I had him throwing 13 touchdown passes. Now, a couple evidently was called back. The first play of the game was a touchdown. Interception the other way for a touchdown. After that, he threw 12 touchdown passes, but officially in the record books, he set a national record for a state championship game, 10 touchdown passes in one game. He ended his fabulous career with 14,557 yards, which was a national record until Florida's Chris Leaks broke his high school record a few years later. So Fiction and Fact with Smoking Jim's Almanac was 1998 West Virginia State Championship game. 10 touchdown passes in one game for my man J.R. House.
Thanks, Smoking
Where's he
Jim.
now?
J.R. House is now a hitting coach for some minor league teams, but his high school was Nitro High School in West Virginia. Awesome player.
How did he slip through Great Waves' fingers?
Yeah, it is.
He went to Florida. That's how.
He wouldn't work on that 10. He wouldn't work on the 10, huh?
He got to Florida on this thing. They couldn't keep track of him. He traveled a couple thousand miles away.
Terry Smith with the drop the ball there, right?
They did. And now one of my favorite parts of the show, now we go to Chip's Trivia Time.
Oh, thanks, Alan. And this week on my trivia time, I had quite a bit to say last night about, a former Pirate great,
Yes.
Roberto Clemente, and in Major League Baseball a number of years back, wanted to pay tribute to game changers. People that changed the sport. Jackie Robinson was the first gentleman that came to people's minds, and so what the Major League Baseball decided to do was to retire that number from all Major League teams. And I've always scratched my head because I see that number 42 up there at PNC Park, and I was like, Jackie Robinson didn't play for the Pirates, but
It's quite an honor.
The number has not really officially been retired yet, and that number will be retired at the end of this year when a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer ends his major league career this year. The New York Yankees' Mariano Rivera is the only player in Major League Baseball with Jackie Robinson's number, and once he retires, nobody else will wear that number again.
Wow.
So that's my useless piece of trivia information. And I would like to make another lobby because, you know, Jackie Robinson was a groundbreaker. He was the first African American to play in the major leagues. Broke the color barrier. You know, there's another player that played his entire career here who was a great humanitarian, and he spoke out for the people of his race, Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente was the Hispanic version of Jackie Robinson. He stood up for Hispanic ball players, got them recognized, and he did it on a platform from 1966 to 1971 where he was, without a doubt, the best player in baseball. And he played with a lot of really famous people like Pete Rose, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. I mean, it's a laundry list of Hall of Famers that he played with, and they all looked up to him. Major League Baseball, you need to retire number 21.
Interesting. Hey, I have one question on
I'm with that. Big
how
time.
did he get the number 42, the Yankee closer? How did he get that number? Because
The only way I could figure it, Mariano Rivera has probably been in the major league since 1993. Okay,
So you got
okay.
it before they-
So he had the number already, and when they went ahead and retired it from all of the different teams, they can't. You know, he was wearing it. So until he retires, that
Okay.
would seem logical.
'Cause it
I
seemed
don't know.
odd.
I could be wrong on that one, but that's what I would be.
well,
led
if
to
somebody
believe.
wants to call in, 412-831.
3304, but that's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you two
There's
other,
our Yankee expert. Come on.
That's exactly.
Thanks for joining the show.
Shouting out from one of your.
I'll tell you two
All
other
Yankees,
thank you.
all the time.
Two other interesting things about Jackie Robinson. Number one is, as we all know, once a year there's a day in Major League when everybody wears 42. So we'll always see that number on a baseball field
Every year.
Now, you guys, I'm sure you know this. I'm just going to remind you of this. Jackie Robinson broke in, was it 49?
47, I think.
49, 47, 210, 220. All right. When was the
Was
next?
that electric?
Exactly.
Are you serious?
When he broke in April of,
47.
when was the next black ball player on board?
That's good.
Larry Doby was his name, I believe, and he
You're
played
correct.
for the
Really?
Cleveland Indians.
That's
Yes,
correct.
sir.
How soon after Robinson did he
Couple
play?
years.
You know, I don't know the answer to that, but
2 years?
1 month.
1 month.
He played.
Really?
He came up in May of the
Wow.
same year, but nobody knows that. Well, everybody knows that, but
No.
nobody gives him his due for that. I mean, Robinson was in the National League, and yeah, he got all. I'm not nothing for. or
well,
against
you know,
the guy,
that's
but
the difference because Jackie Robinson played in the Mecca of New York City, the largest city in the world, and you know, with all the media scrutiny. I mean, come on, how many people knew where Cleveland was
we all
that
did.
weren't mob related?
Hey, did you ever see that movie, Kill the Irishman?
Which one?
Kill the Irishman. It's about the mob in
Were
Cleveland.
you in there? In that
No, not
Oh,
that.
Frank O'Harris watched.
Yeah.
Let's move on to boxing here, folks.
It's a good movie.
We're going to do a comedy show. Next week, we're going to do a half-hour comedy show with you two down there, okay? And all four of us, no problem. We're going to go to some boxing here now since that boxing's on our mind. Smoking Jim, if Big Mike can leave you alone here for a second. We're going to go to some boxing. You told me that I got invited to help you with some boxing on Saturday night.
Yeah, Smoking Jim and El Levine, the Talk Machines, teamed up to bring boxing back to life here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Great tradition here, a lot of great up-and-coming fighters. So we're getting together on Saturday, and it's going to be the second round of the Golden Gloves boxing tournament, which is a statewide tournament. The region here that we'll be participating in is southwestern Pennsylvania, and usually the best out of Pittsburgh in southwestern Pennsylvania eventually will fight the best out of Philadelphia and Harrisburg for the state championship. So it's a one and done thing. A lot of great fighters. Jimmy Savetic, who owns 7 boxing gyms in and around the Pittsburgh area, is bringing a bunch of his fighters down. It should be some great fights. I tell you what, South Park got one of the best boxing gyms with Muscle Healy. So
Right.
his
Friend of the
boys boys will be coming down. So it'll be quite a clash.
Sammy Vasquez?
Sammy,
Where
yeah,
he'll be in
Sammy
the house.
Bass
He'll be in the
will
house.
be in the house.
Who
So
can?
Mexican.
Mexican.
And
Team
American.
Vasquez. Team Vasquez. Team Vasquez.
So Al
absolutely.
Levine will get a chance to
We're going to
interview,
produce the show and interview.
Sammy Vasquez and also Chip Hayner and his wife Stephanie will be in the house, and the lovely India will be there. So everybody come on out and have a good time.
Hey, I got a couple of little boxing tidbits, because
Okay.
I went back into my trivia machine. And,
Jeez, here we
okay,
go.
no. yeah,
Boxing
dude,
trivia.
and I know Jim remembers this because I reminded him about it on Friday night. But March 8th, 1971,
Wow.
the fight of the century.
Wow.
Smoking Joe Frazier, decision, Muhammad Ali to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So, that's something that was a benchmark. And this past weekend, something that's never been done before happened. Bernard Hopkins became a world champion at age 48, won the light heavyweight championship, and definitely in a majority decision over, I can't remember who. But, the interesting thing about that is, at one time, George Foreman was the oldest man to ever win a heavyweight championship. Then Bernard Hopkins, 2 years ago, won the light heavyweight championship at 46 years of age. And once again, here he is winning the same championship 2 years later. 48 years old, he's a world champion. That's something that should be recognized.
That is. And then speaking of boxing, Jimmy Savetic said he would give 2 tickets away if we come up with a trivia question here. And I said on Facebook there, if anybody wanted to call in, then they could win. Now, Chip come up with a little gimmick here, and I'll let Chip describe what he wants to do here.
Hey, if anybody out there wants 2 tickets to the Golden Gloves boxing match this Saturday night, call the show. What's the number?
412-831-3304.
And it's going to be
I'm
real
ready to
simple.
hit the button here, folks.
It's going to be real simple. I got
Whoever calls, I don't care who
got a
calls.
great
Whether you're a friend of the show or
trivia
you're not.
question. I got a great trivia question for you. And just to give you a little tease, it's probably in regards to one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time.
Wow. So if
A
you call
little
in,
teaser.
that fun,
Little
hold it. I'm
teaser.
going to call. Oh, I'm going.
If we don't hear anybody call in, I'll give you the trivia question, and we'll give you the answers at the end of the show in our closing remarks.
Okay.
It's not who owned Joe Louis's bar in New York, is it?
Oh, you're close.
Okay.
Don't want to give it away.
Close.
Okay, well.
You're close. He didn't tell me, so it's all
Oh,
close.
it's Is it in the Funkin' Wagon?
Funkin'
Well, see, what I'm trying
Did you
to
look in the Funkin' Wagnalls last week? Thank you. Because I knew you would. You have one.
What I'm trying to avoid is somebody being able to Google it and cheating to get.
It's
the
hard to
answer.
start. They all got smartphones. I still got the dumb phone. I can't do it, but
Okay,
you're not telling
You
me.
got a dumb phone. I'm a dumbbell. So
But you know what? Why not give it out? Let them do the homework. So, and if
I'd like to hear the phone ring.
that's what I mean. They give out the thing.
We
now.
still have 25 minutes.
Yeah, we still got some time, but you know
We
what?
still say Joe Louis.
It depends on whose opinion who thinks the greatest heavyweight of all time is.
that the
There-
question?
there
No.
are plenty of
Tease.
candidates.
He's teasing you again.
Can I
You're
say-
ready on speed, though. 412-831-3304. Go ahead.
Can I say this real quickly?
Say it
Bernard
slow.
Hopkins, one of Bernard Hopkins' sparring partners when he was at Gradford Federal Prison was Rayco Ward Saunders. And you talking about 2 freaks of nature. Bernard Hopkins, the executioner, is 46 years old. And Rayco Ward Saunders is 38 years old and can go 12 rounds better than anybody I've ever seen in complete shape. So I tell people in the boxing community, you may want to go to your federal pen and you get some
Yeah, but
great
those 2
fighters.
guys are exceptional.
Are they really?
Yes, they're exceptional.
Let me tell you something
And-
about Rayco. He is probably one of the best physical specimens I've ever seen in my life. The man just is dedicated to working out. He's and you know what, and he does more than just work out and is an accomplished boxer. He does things for the community and
He helps to mentor some of the young
And he-
fighters.
And he knows the nutrition game. He's a vegetarian, and he always says that the biggest animal is the African elephant, and the African elephant is also a vegetarian.
You know what? We're getting some bonus fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, and it's out of our country. We just went to Africa, folks. But I wanted to bring up something while people were talking about it. We have a show that, if maybe you've caught it, there's Smoking with Jim, and guess who he interviews? Smoking Jim, who's your guy?
Rayco War Saunders.
And guess what? We've had a couple guys. We have a good friend of the show, one of my biggest fans, Chief. He's caught that show now.
Oh, yeah?
He did see the show, and we got a couple other people watched it. And if you want to see the other boxing show that we have on Bethel, it's the Ironman Boxing with champion Rod Sulka, the only world champion out of Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. Rod, fantastic. Go to our Pittsburgh Sportsline fan page, and you can see the belt on our fan page.
Only man out of Elizabeth, PA.
Okay, now the next thing is, I know Chip was itching last night to get into some Penguins, and we only touched on it briefly. And that's both what we're into this year. I know they're going to win the Stanley Cup. They just have a couple things to solve, like defense. But I wanted to bring that up, Chip, and see where we go with that.
Well, you know,
and Big Mike, you can chime in anytime because you're like on the edge of your seat, buddy.
Oh, I'm so jacked about the Pens this year, in spite of the fact I said I thought they were going to be a bottom seed. And I'm sorry, Chip, but I meant to interrupt. I earlier said that they're going to be a bottom
hard
seed,
feelings
but
here.
make the
Easy.
playoffs. They're
Easy.
rolling. And I want to ask you guys a question, the hockey fans here.
Yes.
It seems
Get the
to
puck
me,
out of here. What are you talking about? That's what they need to do. You get it in the
I
offensive
wish
end.
I could recall every year of every super offensive up front or forwards that we've had over the years. Lemieux, Yager, back in old school days, Sil Apps and John Pronovo. But it seems to me that the Penguins are scoring in front of the net with clear-cut passes coming from any angle, from Malkin or from Crosby, and it's just
And
right on.
Kunitz.
Well, he's the one scoring.
Kunitz.
Him and Neal are just, not that they're not good, they are plenty good, but they're getting that puck on the tape and just zipping it in the net. I mean, really, without being contested by the goal.
And what's your question about that?
That's my question. It just seems, I wish I could remember last year.
I'd like to speak to you, some of the things, and kind of like a mid-season report on the Penguins. Now, there's no question they're the highest scoring team in the NHL, probably one of the most prolific we've seen. And I think that the Penguins can, match goals with any team. Where I find the Penguins are having a problem consistently is they're playing very soft defense in front of the net. And we've run a 5-game winning streak. One of these games we won 5-4. One game against Montreal we won 7-6. You're not going to win a lot when it comes to the NHL playoffs. Playing games like that, allowing your opponents to score a lot of points, you can't really rely on that. What teams do is they shut down high-scoring offenses. And, one of the things that we know as being Steeler fans are, and what is the cornerstone of championship teams? Strong defense, okay? And, look at all the offensive teams that done all the flash and dash, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bad-mouthing the Penguins. They're playing very, very well. They're starting to mesh. But what they need to do is they need to work on the penalty kill unit. They're ranked 22nd in the league. That's bad. That's not good. When they need to bring that up and, and start playing. You will look at where the goals are being scored against them, and they're being scored within 5 feet of the goal, and they're right in front of the net. And there used to be an adage in hockey is that anybody that skated through the crease skated into it and slid out of it on their hind end, and that's what I don't see happening right now.
Well, you don't have that big presence in front of the net, either on defense or offense. As you know, they're doing a lot of tic-tac-toe with the passing. And on the defense, Thanks, Smoking Jim. That's just one of those things I picked up. Wait till you hear me in boxing on Saturday night, buddy. I'm studying Howard Cosell. But part of it is on defense. You can see they're not keeping people away from Fleury or Bakun. They're both getting hit left and right. They're actually getting hit, the goaltenders, which that's not a good thing. Poor Bakun, he's had some troubles there. So.
Hey, he played a hell of a game.
When?
Philadelphia came
Yes, he
in,
did.
came in,
Yes, he did.
and then he started the next game, did he not? And he gave up only 1 goal.
Yeah,
I think that Thomas
and
guy
he
is okay.
bailed out Flory.
Thomas.
Flory gave up 4 goals in the first period against the Flyers.
He helped save the game and win it.
Yeah,
You know, and
absolutely.
again,
Good
the
observation.
defense, he gave up some soft goals. Volkun didn't give up 1, and we ended up winning 5-4. So
You get into those stretches as a goalie. You get into those stretches as any type of an athlete. Nobody goes 162-0 or 81-0 and all that.
How about
jazz.
48 now?
you
Well,
didn't
that
think the
would be-
Pirates are this year?
Hey,
I've already got it written down in ink.
well, I'm buying that Kool-Aid.
No, you don't want it because
That'll be a record.
he's
let me
too
tell you.
high right now.
Do you
on that
know? Are you
pirate
guys
fucko
aware?
Kool-Aid.
Since we're on the hockey trivia right now,
Yeah.
are you guys aware that the Chicago Blackhawks are on a 2-game losing streak?
No.
Yeah, but that follows their 25-game streak where they
Wow.
scored at least 1
But that was
point.
then.
You know, and I'll tell you something
What have
right
they
now.
done now?
There's teams in the West that the Penguins are going to have to be leery of, and one of them is the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Okay, the Chicago Blackhawks are playing as good a hockey as can be played right now. Vancouver's strong. I mean, there's teams out there that'll give the Penguins a game. I mean, the Penguins' trip to the Stanley Cup, it's not guaranteed. They've got a lot of work to do.
Right, but a lot of those goaltenders are leaving him in every game. So I think there's going to be a tired factor that comes towards the playoff time if they don't give him a break. And we have 2, I forget the names of our goaltenders, but 2 good goaltenders that are doing well. And matter of fact, they probably already started the game. Where's
7:38, they're dropping the puck.
my biggest fan in New Jersey? She can't even get the game. So, Hope, I know you don't see the game. You know, it's a shame.
This one might be on national TV. Check out on the
maybe it is.
NBC Sports Network.
Well, she may get that. On the NHL network, we did talk. She was watching the game the other night there, and a new thing happened. What is it, the sock monkey trick? That Kunitz got a hat trick, so now they threw sock monkeys out there because they were giving them away. What happened to the old-fashioned hat trick?
If I had an item given to me, sock monkey.
You keep it.
No, I don't think so. I'd throw it on the ice.
You
If
take 'em.
I had that or a $35 hat like that, I'd keep the hat and throw the sock monkey. It was a no-brainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Big Mike. Appreciate
No.
your insights. We're going to baseball, something you know about.
Take me out to the ball game.
We already know he drinks a lot of that baseball Kool-Aid, and Chip's our man here with the Pirates with how they're doing. The Grapefruit League, they don't have a winning record, but a lot of those records don't mean anything, just like batting averages and pitching records and things like that.
A lot of people are getting a lot of work. You know, some of the things that I'm really encouraged to see. Charlie Morton's rehabbing is coming along very nicely. He's pitching off the mound. I believe he's actually pitching in the other day. He actually pitched to live batters for the first time in a long time, and you know, they've worked on his mechanics. I'm really looking forward to him coming back.
Sure,
I
and
think
being healthy.
I think, you know, a healthy Charlie Morton in their starting rotation. You combine him with A.J. Burnett, Wandy Rodriguez. If James McDonald can pitch the way he pitched in the first half of last year, and if Karstens can, you know,
How's his bicep?
shake the kid. Yeah, well, they got him up to 60 or 70 pitches now
Whoa.
at a toss, and he's progressing. So, you know, there's a lot of work to be done. Not a lot of, you know, really. And Marte has been having a very solid spring training. He's got his average up there, 370, 380, but that's really kind of relative because, you know, he's probably batting against a lot of single A and double A pitchers that are just getting their first taste of playing in a major league environment. So, you know, the work's progressing well. I think, you know, we'll have a better idea. You know, be honest with you, we're really not going to have an idea of what kind of Pirate team we're going to have until July or August. But I'm really looking forward to the season. I'm optimistic that this is going to be the year the streak will end.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we'll see what happens there, Chip. We'll find out more next week when you and John Galeza duke it out over fantasy sports. I'm sure you'll agree on a lot of that stuff when at Sips Sports Bar. Big Mike, come on out for baseball on Monday night.
Is it baseball tonight? Is it going to be baseball?
Fantasy baseball.
fantasy baseball.
Yeah,
Well,
that'll
I
be the theme of it.
For entertainment
I
only.
may well, I may well be able to make it, and
Well, if you're in the neighborhood, I know you do some traveling at times, so when you're dropping a car off, just go up to West Liberty Avenue, 3024 West Liberty Avenue.
But it's on the corner of what and what?
West Liberty Avenue and Kelton.
There you
on
go.
the corner.
That's okay. I had something for you guys this evening, and I blew it twice.
Okay.
Number one is Italy lost to the Dominican Republic this afternoon, 5-4. Robinson Cano and
A nail biter.
well, Italy went up 4-0 in the first inning, and the Dominican didn't score until the 7th. So I was going to triumphantly walk in here this evening with a victory under my belt. I'm Italian, in case anybody didn't know, but I am from the United States. But I was going to walk in here with my grandparents are from Italy, with the Italian victory under my belt and my WBC Italian hat on. Well, Italy lost today. My hat did show up, and in spite of the fact that I went to Lids in one of their stores and tried on nifty 50 hats in size 7 fit, I got a size 7 in the mail the other day of my Italian World Baseball Classic hat, and it fits me like since I'm Catholic, I can say Pope's beanie. You know what I mean?
Well, why don't you cut your hair and then it'll fit perfectly?
It's bald back here. There's
I'm
there's
worried about
nothing.
the sides, buddy.
Oh,
That's
the sides.
The sides.
Oh, I flip them up. That's okay.
Do you? Okay. Well, you're an actor.
My hair is thin, guys. It's all dome.
see,
It's all
I get-
dome, man.
Is it?
Yeah,
Well,
my
that's a
hair's
little weird.
thin.
That looks like a size 6. With a point at the top. Ah, never mind.
I could have said Yamaka.
That's
thing,
okay.
you
You
know, with
could
the
wear
beanie
one
with
too.
the propeller, you know.
That's all
But
right.
I said I went the
We're
Catholic
ecumenical
way.
here.
Ecumenical.
Now we got a little Big East action with Pitt basketball. They got a double bye, and the tournament starts, I think, tonight.
Tonight, first 2 games tonight, I think DePaul's playing Rutgers, and South Florida is playing somebody in the first game, but,
Don't change that dial.
But
Stay on the
it looks
station.
like Pitt's first round opponent,
Please.
provided they win their second round matchup, would be Syracuse. And Thursday night, every year that I think every year that Pitt has actually even won the Big East tournament, they had the double bye and they only had to win 3 games. So
Most
they've
teams
got
don't do well.
they've got a short path to the championship. Wouldn't it be great to watch Pitt walk away from the Big East with a championship? Because once we go to the ACC, we're going to get taken to task quite frequently. I think the ACC is stronger than the Big East was in the Big East's heyday. And I also heard that Notre Dame is going to be joining. Notre Dame's going to be joining the ACC as well as Syracuse. The Catholic
It'll be like a Big East
the
part
Catholic
2.
Seven. The Catholic Seven. All the Catholic universities are going to retain the name of the Big East, and they're still going to be able to keep the tournament in Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Approve.
He's gone. He left. The Pope's gone, guys.
Jim, I know you've been sitting.
That's
on
why he
pins
got
and
his
needles,
hat, Big Mike.
But the smoke that came out of the chimney was black this evening, so they haven't elected a new pope yet. Okay, so that.
And there's some arguments about pollution and global warming over that. Unbelievable.
And the Cardinals that are polling for the new pope right now, you won't see any of them playing in Arizona this week.
And Pujols isn't on the Cardinal committee anymore, just so you know. For all you baseball
Bruce
fans.
Arians ain't signing any of them.
He's not on there.
Hey, I
My
got
biggest fan, hold it a second, folks.
Score Pittsburgh.
Ah, no.
Score them.
Biggest fan, Hope, when you watch this a couple days from now, she just told us the score. Charo scored a goal.
You know what? I got to tell you. I was
about
going
that?
to save this for the ender, but
Closing remarks, hold that thought.
Hold that thought.
We'll get back to you.
Because
Good
while we
grief.
were on the subject of basketball, I wanted to make a real quick shout out. There's something that's going on now. And Jim, I have to do it. Newcastle ran Gateway out of the gym the other day.
I can't believe you were holding back on that.
But here's the interesting statistic. The last time that a team won the state basketball championship undefeated was the 1983 Stowe Rocks team. Okay, and you remember that they had a quarterback that played for the for Stowe Rocks named DeMichelle. Just a couple of years ago, his dad was on that 1983 team. Yes,
Wow.
they were undefeated. They were undefeated Whitfield championship, and they won the states. Newcastle has the opportunity to do that, and Jim and I were talking about this last night. Newcastle's just got an incredible team, but they don't have anybody that starts on that team taller than 6'4". And when they start playing against some of these bigger teams from out east, especially outside of Philadelphia, that could be their downfall. But you know what? Who knows? They're got a great system going there. They score a lot of points. The kids can shoot the lights out of the ball. I'm pulling for the Red Hurricane.
And Lincoln Park won tonight in their preliminary rounds of the PIAA. And Char Valley Girls is beating Gateway to death right now.
No,
But,
and we had a great interview with. Hey, we had a great interview with the
Destiny
Steelers.
went to Baylor, right? It was, she went there. She went away to college. She took the.
And you know who went to Char Valley that we just interviewed the other night?
Who?
Ross Ventrone.
Wow, that's right.
One of our guys that were rooting to make the team with the Steelers on special teams at least. He gave a great interview. What an athlete. He said he just picked up a basketball a couple days ago. He was shooting and throwing the ball. You saw that
High
play into
school
the crowd.
wrestler.
Exactly. So a shout out to him with the great interview we had last Friday night here at Bethel Park, where the championship basketball team was there. Sadly to say, they lost at Baldwin there in their game. But we had a great turnout. A lot of great people there to help a great cause with Bethel Park Police Pals.
And a shout out to my good friend, my great friend, one of my best friends, the principal of Bethel Park, Dr. Zab Jansani.
Dr.
Can't
J.
wait to-
Dr. J
Dr.
from Bethel
J.
Park. Nice. God bless you out there. And that's our girl, India. She's a little under the weather, folks. We don't know why. She might have had too much of that good food at Sips Sports Bar. Matter of fact, you got me hungry again. I know she sneezed.
Hey, a little shout out to our bartender extraordinaire, Tracy. Great service. I recommend paying her a visit.
And the chef, Steve, back there, those peppers and mashed potatoes were fantastic.
Made me forget about chicken for a minute.
He did, Smoking Jim. He didn't want chicken anymore. He was no winner. I'm telling you.
Hey, it made my tapeworm forget I was hungry.
We got to get back to some sports.
Don't forget Porky Chadwick's coming.
Porky Chedwick at the end of the month,
Daddy's
Saturday
on the
night.
radio.
You got the daddy-o, the radio.
Sips.
While you're liking Pittsburgh Sports Line, don't forget Daddy of the Radio. He's still alive and he's pushing those platters
Big
there.
Mike's
Stacks
interested.
of wax.
Yeah,
man,
Sip Sports Bar.
Do any of
boy.
you guys remember Cool Springs East in Monroeville? It was a swimming pool.
Yes.
What, was it called Cool Springs East back then, or what was it
I don't
called?
know if it was
In
called
God's
that.
country, huh?
That was a huge swimming pool right next to.
Nothing.
Yeah.
This was back in the. I was in high school. This was in the early '60s, and Porky used to play out there. I mean, that guy goes back to the '50s.
I
Forget
think
about
he's
the
only
60s.
96.
I
years
saw
old.
he performed this past summer at the right down the street, the South Park, where they have the horses go around, whatever it's
Wow.
called.
Yeah.
With
In the barn.
it was a car show. Well, he was out in a thing. There was a car show.
How did he look? How did he look?
96. The Angels. The Angels performed.
How did he look at 46?
96.
Okay.
But hey, I wanted to come on. I got to get this in now.
Go ahead, do it now.
No, the ending I'm saving for the ending.
Okay.
But this is
Maybe
what I
that's where we're
got
at.
to. This is what I got to bring in.
You know
now.
what? We got 5 minutes and 50 some seconds. What do
Okay,
you
real
wanna
quick,
say?
the USA poll and the coaches poll, API, whatever it is, how many teams in the Big East are ahead of Pitt? Not many. In other words, so Pitt has a decent chance.
So you ask a question and answer it.
Well, I don't know because I don't know who's in the Big East,
Okay.
but I did see Pitt's only won the Big East once, correct or not? Twice.
Twice they've won the tournament. They've won the regular season
Well,
crown.
The
Three or
tournament.
four
At
times.
least 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks,
So
Big
there we
Mike.
go. Come on, what am I here for? Sports.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a different sports for
Now I'm
you.
going to give up my last segment right now because what happened was in the 50 games or less that the Penguins have played the Boston Bruins with Zaro whatever his name
Dano
is.
Chara.
He's now tonight including he scored 14 goals and 13 assists in the less.
Did
than
you add the 1 in there?
I added the 14. The 14
So it was
yeah.
13 before.
Exactly. He's done a lot of offensive damage for being a D. And that's my ending. You guys have it the rest of the night. I'm leaving.
Okay,
I'll
well-
watch the hockey game.
Well, I just wanted to bring up about Robert Morris. We're still rooting for their hockey team. So, Marty Galosi, bring home a winner there. And your basketball team, we feel bad. We thought we'd see you in the NCAA, and I heard you're going to be in the NIT. At least you don't have to pay for that CBI Smoking Jim to get in a tournament. So, at least RMU. We'll try to get Marty on the show. We'll have to give him a call and see if he can come out. I think he has a Frozen 4 coming up, too.
Oh, yeah,
That's
the
another
Frozen
thing we
Four is
want to
coming
talk
in
about.
April to To the console.
The console.
Yes, sir.
So we'll have to talk about that. We're going to do some closing remarks, folks, because sometimes we still have things we want to talk about. Big Mike has 2 more things, but we're going to let him go there.
I reneged.
Pardon me?
Smoking Jim.
I reneged.
Okay, we'll go to Smoking Jim right now.
Well, just want to, my closing remarks is want to encourage everybody to come out Saturday night out Route 8 on Royal
You stole
Place.
my closing remarks.
Yeah, it's my fault. And come out. I tell you what, if you don't want to see Al Levine, the Talking Machine, or Smoking Jim, please come out and see my favorite Stillerette and my favorite ring girl, Alicia. She'll be rocking the ring card right. Come on out and check out Alicia Saturday night.
Thanks, Smoking Jim.
You know,
All right, Chip, what do you got, buddy?
Speak to the boxing thing one last time here before we go. You know, I'm sure Alan will keep it on Facebook.
Right.
Okay, here's our big question. Greatest heavyweight champion of all time, Rocky Marciano.
Yes, sir.
When did he die? How did he die? And how old was he when he passed?
Plane crash.
Wow, that's a triple.
Was he undefeated, or was that Marciano?
Marciano
Yes.
is the only undefeated heavyweight champion. That's
when
why,
it was-
hence, the greatest
Yes.
heavyweight champion of all.
Larry Holmes wasn't undefeated.
No, Mike Tyson
the
chopped
grill.
him down.
Jeez.
That's George.
So that's your trivia question there?
That's my trivia question.
All right. Say that again so any of these
Okay,
people that are
well, Rocky
slow.
Marciano, the only undefeated heavyweight champion of all time, he passed away. And when did he pass away? And what were the circumstances of his passing? And how old was he when he died?
There
Is
you
this for
go,
us or
folks.
for them?
You know what? You were ready to call in. I don't know. I'm
I
late.
don't know. You know, hopefully somebody out
If
there.
somebody calls in 412
Hey, you know what?
831
Somebody they
33.
can answer the question on.
We'll
on
do on our,
Facebook.
if you go to
On
our
our Facebook
Pittsburgh
page.
Sports Line,
Yeah, why not?
on our fan page there, Big
Get some
Mike,
more
you better
likes.
join Facebook. I'm hoping we hit 150 by the end of the night or something like that. But you can go there. I'll put the question up. Whoever gets the first answer, and I can see it since I'm the admin on the show there, I can check it out and I'll know who's there. So keep those likes coming. Big Mike, you didn't call in, so we'll just ignore that. You had the phone ready.
I know the answer.
You do.
Absolutely.
Well, don't tell anybody.
I'm not.
Call
You
your
know
wife.
what? If
Text
I-
your wife.
One last
Doesn't talk to
parting
me.
shot
Yeah,
here.
go ahead. Give
Maybe
one.
next Monday night we might be celebrating the new Big East champions here in Pittsburgh. Let's go pick.
Yeah, well, we had a couple discussions with Big Mike from Pittsburgh Sports Nation. He's hoping to come back. He'll be back for another session there. He wants to talk championship Pitt basketball. So Big Mike can meet Big Mike again. You should see he's bigger than you, Big Mike.
No, I tell you what, he's got great sports knowledge and
His
great insight.
information.
And
his
great insight. I recommend going to his website.
Yeah, go to his,
Listening.
he blogs on sports, he tweets, he does all this stuff. He's very informative. We had great conversation, and also with young Zach Brenner, our businessman who's on our show. We got semi-regulars now, folks, because they got so much information. They add to what we have, so you're more than welcome to come out there. Pittsburgh Sports Line at Sips Sports Bar. More people are starting to stop by. Middle of downtown Dormont. You can park on both sides of the street after 7 o'clock. Make sure you say hi to Tracy there, best bartender in the city. If not Dormont, stop by. Ask the chief how our drinks are. The food was great. We appreciate everybody there. Make sure you see us Saturday night at Royal Place at 7 o'clock. I'll be there a little bit earlier. It's not that far for me. Smoking Jim will have me keep the seat warm. That's why I think we're partners on this thing. And then we may even have some interviews with Chip Hayner and Stephanie Hayner. Maybe we can get an interview with her. Thanks, folks. Appreciate you watching our show. Thanks, Joe, Devin, Aaron. Without you, we couldn't do the show. And you fans watching, too.